Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to study Poem 8 Mending Wall by Robert Frost from your SSLC 10th Standard First Language English Textbook Part 2. This poem has 47 lines and it is written in free verse, which means it does not follow a strict rhyme or rhythm. This poem is a reflective conversational piece where the poet explores human relationships, tradition, and boundaries through the simple act of repairing a wall between two neighbors. Now, let's begin with the first part, that is, nature and the wall. The poem begins with the speaker noticing that something there is that does not love a wall. Nature itself, like frozen ground, swelling or hunter moving stones, creates gap in the wall. The speaker shows that walls, though made by humans, cannot stop nature. Students, let me give you an example. Imagine a mischievous rabbit hopping around, pushing small stones off the wall. No one sees it happen, yet the wall ends up with the gap every spring. Now let's move on to the next part, that is repairing the wall. The speaker tells his neighbor about the gaps and together they repair the wall. They each fix their side of the wall. Some stones are heavy or tricky to balance and they jokingly cast a spell to keep them in a place. Frost shows the fun and teamwork in this simple task. Students, let me give you an example for this. Think of it like a game of Jenga, but outdoors, placing huge stones carefully so they don't topple over. Now let's move on to the third part, questioning the need for the wall. The speaker wonders why the wall is even needed. His apple trees cannot intrude into his neighbor's pine trees. He questions the old saying, good fences make good neighbors, suggesting walls are not always necessary. Let me give you an example for this. It is like putting a fence between two friends in a garden when both are polite and nothing can go wrong, maybe unnecessary. Now let's move on to the fourth part, that is tradition versus curiosity. The speaker continues to question the purpose of walls, joking that maybe elves caused the gaps. But the neighbor sticks to tradition, lifting stones firmly, following his father's advice. This shows the difference between questioning and following customs blindly. Let me give you an example for this. Students, imagine your neighbor carrying huge stones like a hero from ancient times while you whisper, maybe tiny elves are at work. Now let's move on to the fifth part of the poem, the neighbor's belief. At the end, the neighbor repeats, good fences make good neighbors, showing he values tradition more than questioning. The poem ends with a reflective thought about human habits versus nature. Let me give you an example for this. It's like your friend always following the same old rule while you keep asking, but why? Both are okay, just different ways of thinking. Students, now let's see what is the conclusion of this poem. Mending Wall teaches us that while traditions and boundaries can help maintain harmony, they are not always necessary. Frost encourages us to question old habits, respect nature, and think for ourselves while also valuing relationships. Students, the moral is very simple. Question old customs instead of following it blindly. Understand when boundaries are really needed. Nature often challenges unnecessary human barriers. Respect neighbors, but also use your own judgment. Thank you, students, for listening. If you like the video, give a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and do comment. See you in the next class. Until then, bye.